I'm Jeffrey Putman. I'm the President Emeritus of the Alumni Association, and this special Zoom is being sponsored by our Young Alumni Committee. And I am, in my other life, the Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs at SUNY Downstate Health Sciences University in Brooklyn. And I graduated from Purchase in 1996 in political science and went on to Teachers College to get my master's and my doctorate in higher education administration. And I don't know what order people are on your screen, but I'm going to go around and ask if everyone would just introduce yourself and when you graduated Purchase and what you're doing in your other life. Stephanie.
Okay, so I'm Stephanie Blum. I graduated from Purchase in 2013 with a degree in arts management. I'm the co-chair of the Young Alumni Committee, Young Alumni and Future Alumni Committee, actually. We merged the committees. I'm on the board, and I work at Mercy College in Dobbs Ferry, New York, doing alumni relations. So I'm doing alumni relations like 24/7. Yeah.
Scott?
Like Jeffrey said, I'm Scott Mason. I graduated from Purchase in 2005 with a bachelor's in studio composition. Then I went back and got my master's in 2007, also studio composition. I'm also on the Young Alumni Committee with Stephanie. And as far as employment, I'm in the process of obtaining my initial educator certification to be a public school teacher in the state of Connecticut.
And Lisanne.
Oh, hi. Class of 2016, playwriting and screenwriting. And I went on for my master's, London Film School and University of Exeter in International Film Business. And I'm currently doing my PhD with the University of Exeter in film studies with a concentration of light use in transmedia storytelling. My career post-Purchase is I own 2 production companies in Manhattan, East End Avenue Productions, that focuses on traditional linear film and television, and Winter Triangle Entertainment, which is a transmedia production company developing franchise content.
So, and Alexandra, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. I am not a Purchase graduate, but my name is Alex Palomeni, and I work in the Alumni Engagement Office with Nadej. We're a 2-person team in the Alumni Engagement. But yeah, so I've been with Purchase like 6 months now. So we're really trying to push these online virtual engagement with our alumni, especially since we had to cancel our alumni weekend, which we're really sad about, but we're trying to engage you guys other ways now that we can, in any way we can from home. So nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
So those are our panelists. There's only a couple of you, so if you want to introduce yourself, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? You don't have to.
I guess I'll introduce myself. I'm Jennifer. I graduated with my master's in music from Purchase in 2008. And post-graduation, or I guess what I do is I'm a freelance musician. And I play the organ and piano, and I also compose. And I work as a account manager at a small company, and I also work in recreation department at a children's nursing facility.
Fantastic.
That's great. Anyone else want to introduce themselves?
Sure. I am Kevin. I graduated Purchase 2010 with a major in political science. Currently, I am at NYU. Finished my master's in higher education at Steinhardt School of Education and a lot of things. I'm also president of the Alumni Association. I also work at NYU currently at the Graduate School of Public Service, Robert F. Wagner School. And yeah.
Hi, Kevin.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions just to start the conversation going. Why don't I start with something that I think has affected all of us. How are you doing, and what are some good tips for how to manage work-life balance while we're in this pandemic? one of our panelists want to start?
I'll go.
Oh, you go? Okay.
You can go.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can go first.
No, go right ahead. Go ahead. I'll chime in right behind you, Steph.
I feel like I've just been getting into a routine. At first it was challenging, but I've been like waking up at 8, which has been so nice. 7:30, 8 o'clock, when I normally got up at 6:30, getting on the computer for work. And then I realized that if I don't work out during lunch, I don't take lunch. Or if I don't do something during lunch. So I really find myself on nice days, like going out for a run and like stepping away from the computer, because then I'll work the whole day. And then after work, I'll have an hour of time that I would have spent working out, and I'll like cook dinner or do a puzzle or watch a movie. So I found that I'm kind of gaining an extra hour, even though I'm not like socializing.
Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's great that you brought out exercise, because especially now, even though we are have limited ability to do some of the things that we normally were doing, such as going to the gym or maybe exercises that were around many people, I think more than ever it's important to be able to carve out that time to mentally and and physically get out there, and just, even if it's for a half an hour, to do a walk or a bike or something like that. That's really, really important. That's something I build into my schedule. I found that since this whole situation's been going on, I've been using my Google Calendar more. And before, it was something that I kind of already had an internal flow of what I needed to do and only put certain appointments down. But now I'm actually structuring the time that I'm working out. This is my exercise time. I'm blocking out my reading time. I'm blocking out certain activities. So I'm filling my day and looking at balancing my own schedule. But at the same time, some of the people I have to reach out to are in different time zones, because now we're all engaged in digital communication. So I'm having to keep track of that. But it helps me to have structure by using that Google Calendar. And then it also gives me that feeling of accomplishment that, okay, things are still happening. I'm still doing things. It's just shuffled around, and maybe I'm doing things I wouldn't normally have done now, but given the circumstances, I have the opportunity to. So I build that in, and I listen to myself. I don't push it. If I'm getting frustrated with an activity, I'll change, and all right, I'm going to do my reading now instead of later on. I think I really need to take a little bit of a mental break. So I think really listening to how you're feeling during the circumstances, because you don't want to get frustrated or stressed. You want to try and find a medium that's working for you to feel like you're still connected and productive.
The other thing that I've, go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so let me try this again. Like I stated in my introduction, I'm in the process of obtaining my teaching certification. Literally in the middle of, like, when this all went down, I was in the process of finishing my resident teaching assignment in a public school where I'm supposed to teach the whole classroom. Didn't get to do that because they literally shut down the schools right before I was supposed to do that. That was back in March. In the next 3 weeks, we spent waiting to understand what was going to happen. And what we got from our college is that they're going to pass all of us if we did something with student teaching, which is great. But for me, I was looking forward to actually running the classroom, because that was the final piece in my education. Now, as far as what I've been up to, well, you probably hear a dog in the background. That's mine. I've been dealing with her. And I've also been reading on investing, because with the stock market going up and down, I started to read into what all this means, learning about things like options trading and what a derivative is. These don't make any sense to anyone else, but I'm highly fascinated with investing. So that's what I've been up to since this all went down.
And I was going to add to that, I think another important thing to add is, I know a lot of people are stuck in too many Zoom meetings, one after the other. But something that was suggested to me the other day, which we're trying to do here, is to actually schedule Zoom meetings to end at either 15 minutes to the hour or 10 minutes to the hour to actually give you that 10-minute breathing time in between. And so it's okay to request that of supervisors and just say, can't we just finish at, if the meeting is supposed to go till 3 o'clock, set it on your calendar that you stop at 2:50 so that you have that 10 minutes to stand up and breathe and walk around the room if you have to, just to give you some time in between all of these online meetings that we're involved in. So the next question was, how has your region's response, and I think most of us are from the New York area, affected your work? Has it had a direct impact on your work?
I'll go first.
Go ahead, Scott.
Like I said, they shut us down in the middle of the school year. Therefore, I can't do anything with the schools because I'm not an official employee. So I'm in hiatus trying to understand when can we go back to school, meaning the public schools. And from what I was told from a colleague of mine who lives down the road from me, they put a hiring freeze on all the teachers in Danbury. I'm from Danbury, Connecticut. So therefore, besides applying to be a substitute teacher, I can't do anything teaching-wise unless I opt to go online and look for tutoring type assignments, which I may end up doing. So that's how I was affected and what our response has been for work.
Go ahead.
Hi. So for me, since I'm on the production side, there's a lot of projects that got shut down because you can't be shooting, you can't be doing a lot of things, and I collaborate with a lot of people in Europe and in California. So that has really taken quite a toll and a shift in the industry, not knowing exactly what's going to be the future. I've had a lot of colleagues reach out to me about that. If you're writing, you're creating something, what's the point? Where's it going to go? Shows are being canceled or completely put to the side indefinitely. So I think for us, what I've seen even from musicians as well, is the focus has been on creating or being story-centric rather than platform-centric. Because as we emerge out of this and into that new norm that everyone is talking about, academically and even in our individual industries, we need to be thinking wide open, being adaptable to the fact that, okay, we're going to find our new ground in a different way, but not be so concerned about the platform as much as considering, okay, this is how we're going to have to adapt into that medium. And so right now, for my industry, it's very much been about continuing on writing, continuing on the development process that isn't requiring people to be in person communicating, but creating those virtual meetings or emails or workshopping things. I've been going through a lot of drafts on a writing assignment. On my PhD side, I was given an extension if I wanted to for my panel review to give me more time over the summer because we're in the New York zone and they're in England, so they were very accommodating. But I think at this point, it's been about keeping that creative steam going and academic steam, and waiting for to see how that kind of is going to have to, we're going to have to kind of adapt into a new way of studying and creating and working, but we will. And I think that's one of the benefits of coming from Purchase and being involved as an alumni is that Purchase has always been open to encourage being flexible and thinking wide open to those new solutions.
Stephanie?
So I've just been pivoting all my alumni events onto online. My gala has been canceled. It was supposed to be April 2nd. So obviously that didn't happen. Now it's June 2nd virtually. So I've been in a lot of webinars and meetings about how to do an online gala. And then just in my personal life, the only place I've gone is the grocery store. And that's a 3-hour thing because you go to Trader Joe's in Danbury, Scott knows, and you're standing online with your gloves and your mask. And then you get into the store and then they put markers in the store of how you're supposed to go. So that's been a change. And I'm the type of person that likes to like run in and run out to the store. Nope, can't do that anymore. So that's been a little frustrating, and it's really been an adjustment because the grocery store has literally been the only place that I've gone to in public. So that's been a little hard.
Luckily, I don't do the grocery shopping in my house. My mom is considered a high risk, so they have senior citizen time an hour before, so that's when she goes and gets everything. So I'll stay away from the
Yeah.
grocery stores.
See, I love grocery shopping, so this is really hard for me, like really hard. But
Yeah,
we
so
did
do
go to
I.
Costco. We did go to
Yeah.
Costco, and that was an adventure too. I mean,
Oh boy.
it just takes so much time now, and it's not necessary. I mean, it is, but we're not used to the necessariness of it.
So I'll just add, where I work is, we're not just a school, but we're one of the 3 designated COVID hospitals in New York State, is located here. So that's affected our ability to do our work, of course. I do have to come into work a couple of times a week because we have to certify our graduates for their medical and health related careers, which obviously is important for us to do. But it is difficult. It's difficult to get here. It's difficult to travel around, and even the days when you're home, it's too much sitting in the same place. But it has become very difficult. I want to make sure if there are questions from those of you who are on the call who, if there's any topics you want us to cover. Otherwise, I can just go on and ask questions. But I do want to ask, one of our other board members has joined us, Angie Merrick, if you want to introduce yourself and just say what you're doing now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Angie. Sorry for the lateness. I had a last minute 5:30 meeting about it. I currently work in the footwear industry, so my job is affected a lot just because all of our stores are closed internationally and domestically as well. So what it's done for me personally is taking on the role and responsibility of ensuring that our customers are still satisfied digitally. So learning about a digital platform, which I had no knowledge of the whole e-commerce dashboard and understanding consumer preferences and how consumer facing we need to be in terms of satisfying the needs of customers. So it's been a real big challenge for my industry just because of the fact that we now move to an online platform and everything that we do, we have to be socially conscientious of what we say, how we actually interact with customers, and so on and so forth. So like, for instance, today's conference call was about a tweet that happened with Fashion Nova, because I don't know if you guys saw it, if you shop at Fashion Nova, but Fashion Nova is one of those big designer companies that is really popular right now for the young culture. And they tweeted something about spend your stimulus check with us, and it got a lot of backlash for them. So, we wanted to make sure that our message wasn't perceived at that. So just a lot of stuff like that. So, our industry has been hit a lot. So.
And what did you major in at Purchase?
I have a bachelor's in economics and I have a master's in entrepreneurship.
Okay, are there any questions out there from any of you who are on the call? You can also feel free to put them in the chat, either directly to me or just to everyone. Okay, so have you heard, or do you have any questions or concerns about the places ramping up to potentially reopen? And what concerns are you hearing being shared at your work about reopening the economy, as they're calling it in the news?
Well, the reopening that I'm seeing is I'm getting a lot of reports from Europe on my end. So what's interesting is that to see how the different countries are kind of mirroring each other a little bit. with the May 15th opening to kind of start a progressive opening. Portugal had sent me between Portugal and Spain and Malta, and they were looking at opening up slowly with a June 1st of actually allowing directors on set and so forth, but they were kind of just starting to introduce that slow progression. And so it's kind of interesting over there, they don't have the same viewpoint, knowledge of what's happening here and vice versa. So in that regard, it's kind of nice to be connected with people in Europe, because then I'm starting to kind of get like reading a news from all over, more of a balance. But at the end of it, there's a lot of research that's being done. There's a lot of things that are unknown, and people are treading cautiously. And at the same token, on the film and entertainment side, they're not so anxious to be rushing out, despite the fact that there's millions of dollars that are at risk that they're closed down. But it's not an easy thing. As artists, we collaborate not just with one or two people. You're talking about a lot of people together, and the liability that comes on the shoulders of any production is massive. So I think at this point, as things are starting to look like they're leveling off, people are being cautiously optimistic.
Scott?
With the schools, let me see, how do I explain this? There is no official date as far as when schools are going to open up, because there's two concerns that I can say right off the top. First is with the population. As we all know, schools are a hotbed for lack of social distancing. At the same time, children, I understand, have not gotten the virus at a high rate like the adults. Of course, there is a concern that there will be carriers. So the concern is that we wouldn't have the resources to be able to deal with a spike in cases should they reopen the schools. The second concern is what the resources needed to continue with distance learning. Danbury has a large immigrant population. About half the students who go to our schools come from immigrant working class families who lack the resources to be able to not only do distance learning, but to keep up with the regimen and the discipline and the routine to get it done, because some of the parents are essential workers. So that's going to cause a problem academically speaking, because they're going to pass every student, even though they haven't been in school for over a month and they haven't gotten the proper assistance from a teacher. Not to mention, they're totally missing out on the social aspect, because kids love to be social. And I don't think many of them really understand what's going on. And if they do, they're not happy about it, or they come across as happy, but long term, who knows what's going to happen.
Stephanie?
Sorry, what was the question?
What are questions or concerns you've been hearing about the potential reopening of the economy or businesses, whatever?
So I know my job, we're not opening like super quickly. We actually extended our summer classes to online format through July. So we're really not taking any chances. But I think some concerns is like, for me personally, like my grandma's in Florida, and it's like, when am I going to be able to see her? She was supposed to come back March 27th, and she's down there till at least June, you know? So I think you don't want to open everything too fast. So like, when is the mall going to open? When is Disney World going to open? All that stuff. But like, you also have to stand 6 feet apart on a line. How are you going to do that with a 20,000 person park? So I think like big picture, I don't see a lot of things opening for quite a while.
I think that that's probably all true. Certainly until we have a vaccine, we're going to be living with some kind of new normal. And we don't know when that's really going to be. What are some words of advice or words of hopefully hope that you have from where you're situated about what's going on? Advice or hope, hopefully hopeful.
Just take it one day at a time. and make a goal list for that day. So for me, I've actually had the blessing of getting connected with so many different family members on my mom's side. So I scheduled a Zoom session on Sunday with my mom's cousins, and there's like 50 of them all throughout like New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Florida, Washington, Maryland, DC, California, and Canada. And we had like 30 people on the call on Sunday, and it was so cool. Some people I have never met. And like, had I gone on my vacation to Spain last week, that was canceled, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I think just finding something outside of your comfort zone and introducing yourself. Like I emailed like 3 different family members that didn't know I existed until I told them like, hey, this is who I am. Here's a document that proves that we're related. So I think just finding some hobbies and different things to get you interested and like make your days go, that's really all you can do. You have to pass the time somehow.
I
Go
think
ahead.
I think that there's a lot of changes that are happening. At the same time, it's an opportunity to really start to look at the things that you are doing and the contributions that you can make that can make a difference, that can reach people in a positive way. I think you were seeing that on the medical side where people are joined together, collaborate. The collaboration is happening much more than it's ever happened on all across different industries, with technology, with medicine, and even in film and entertainment. And that's been slow in coming, a collaborative process of global exchange of information. So that I think is very positive. And I think that's here to stay. And I also think that because there's always been this, let me say not always, but there's been this growing thought about technology called digital disruption, and how that's a threat to television, a threat to cinema, a threat in multiple levels. But here we're relying on technology to function. And there can be a healthy exchange with that technology. And I think that looking at the opportunities, how we can reach and contribute with our own craft and our own skills, it's an opportunity for us. So whether it's music, there's plenty of digital online platforms. There's, publishing is going into digital, e-publishing, streaming, releases are happening online. My father's an actor, and he said to me last night, he says, boy, I'm glad I'm not an actor right now, because what do you do with the theater? I can't be on stage or anything. And I said, Dad, I could probably see a rise in the voice actor, because now there's other opportunities that necessarily weren't a focus anymore. And so I think just being open to the fact that we all have skills. We just have to be able to be flexible and adaptable to the changes that are coming, and to be able to contribute in that new form.
Scott?
I will say one word: community. I say that because we all know that human beings are social creatures. Therefore, it is imperative that we stay connected to our inner circle, to our family, like Stephanie talked about, to our colleagues, like Lisanne talked about, and even people who you haven't reached out to in a while. Because what better opportunity to talk to that person you haven't seen since high school than when you're stuck at home because of a pandemic? And there's always Mario Kart as well, which is what some of my friends and I are doing. Like, we have nightly Mario Kart tournaments, and I didn't realize how bad I was until I went up against that.
You haven't invited me, so you don't know what bad is yet.
It's funny, Scott, that you should mention that, because a schoolmate from high school over 40 years ago called me today. I know. So I think it was like, wow, all right. It's underscore for Scott. Yay.
Scott, I think you have to challenge Jeffrey to a Mario Kart. I think that was the underlying theme of that.
Of course. And
I'm okay with being challenged. Just don't have high expectations.
Here's a challenge. Find a Nintendo Switch. That's reasonably priced. There's a challenge for you right there.
I got to get a Switch. Okay, that's my first step.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm kidding because you can't find them anywhere.
Oh,
I mean, you could, but you'll pay
Like
$800 for a $30 machine. But
so I would just add to what the others have said. There's been an amazing transformation in almost every industry. Certainly in education. If you had said even in January or February when there was the possibility of this coming, and you had said that in a month, every school is going to move virtually all of its programs online and teach online and provide services to students online, most people would have called you absolutely certifiably insane. And yet it happened. And that's how, I mean, the medical field has been entirely transformed. 3 months ago, when you would have said the word telehealth to anybody, they would have said, absolutely, that's never going to happen. Nobody is ever going to participate in telehealth. And yet, that's exactly where we are. Almost every appointment people are having today is through telehealth. Those things aren't going to go away. And I think we have to help our colleagues and our industry accept those changes and those developments and figure out how we can continue to develop and work with those changes. I also think that, you know, certainly those in healthcare who are working at the front line are getting and totally appropriately lauded for all the heroic work that they're doing. But there's a lot of heroic work being done across the board in a lot of different industries. And we have to make sure we're rewarding each other for that work that's being done. Most people are saying that they're working more now. I know I certainly think so, that I'm working more now than I was when I was physically coming to work every day, because you feel like you never leave your new office that's in your house, which is, by the way, something you have to make sure you schedule yourself to do. Even if you have to put that in your calendar, I'm working until 5, I'm working until 6, whatever the appropriate time is, and then that's it. You know, I'm not going to check my email after that. Obviously, depending on what industry you're in, that may be easier or harder. But it's said too much that all heroes don't wear capes, right? It's a phrase that's used too much, but it's absolutely true. There's heroes all over the place. When we get to the end of this, we're going to see who those people are. And we will get to the end of this. So I think it's important to remind everybody of that. And I also want to second this using Zoom I've had, in fact, last Friday I had 3 reunions at the same time. I don't know why everybody scheduled reunions between 4:30 and 6 o'clock on last Friday. But I was literally, and some people on here were on with me, I was on 2 Zooms at the same time of different groups of people who are having reunions. But those things are happening, and participate in them, because it's good to have, it's companionship in a different way, but it's still companionship and allows you to participate. I see another member of our board has joined, and I'm going to ask him to introduce himself. Pietro,
Hey.
your name and what you did at Purchase and what you're doing now.
Well, what I did in Purchase, what I did now, what do you mean? I don't get that question. It's a little,
what you majored in and what you do for work.
Actually, literature at Purchase, and now I'm working I'm a journalist in the field. So I work for CBS News, and that's what I'm doing.
Jeffrey, I wanted to, if I could just speak to your last question about advice and hope. And I think another thing that's hopeful from all of this, sorry everybody, Iris Beaudry, class of 98.
And a classmate of mine.
Yes, and coworker.
And coworker, yes.
I think another thing that's hopeful that's coming out of this is just, we were so used to living our lives and doing things out of routine and out of habit without purpose and intention. And everything now is so purposeful. and people are doing things with intention. And I have the sense, because things have to open slowly, that that's going to carry over to the other side of this. So that every action that we do, every decision we make every morning to get up and go out, is going to be purposeful, and it's going to be thought about, maybe almost 3 times more than we would have previously. And then with that comes an appreciation for the things that we found to be mundane before, that we took for granted because we were doing out of routine and out of habit, and not really paying attention to the necessity of it all, the necessity of public transportation, the necessity of being able to telecommute or do, have conferences electronically, the necessity of travel, and just things like that, that we thought arbitrary or seriously took for granted, we're going to have so much more of a deep appreciation for, because of the intention that we're going to have to put toward getting back into the routine of doing those things again.
And to add to that, I think the important thing to recognize, and it's hard to know what the world will be like in September, let's say, as we move towards reopening. But it's not going to be certainly a quick, snap your fingers and return to the way it was in January. So Iris absolutely is correct that it's going to have to be done intentionally. You're going to have to think about the things that you're doing. There are people who would love, I know I would love to tomorrow jump on a plane and go somewhere, but those kinds of things can't be done right at this moment. And so you're going to have to think about, when is the right time to schedule that next vacation? When is the appropriate time to go on your next professional development conference? And many people live for those kinds of things. I know when I go to a professional development conference, I get completely rejuvenated. And now we have to find other ways of doing that, so that you can keep that energy that you need and be rejuvenated in other ways. Does anybody else want to contribute to this idea of what are positive advice or words of wisdom that you can give for the way that you're working right now?
The other thing I want to say is when you do come across something, share it with others, because we're all in this together. We hear this so many times, but sometimes you could come across something in your industry that could benefit someone. And you were just mentioning about work conferences, professional conferences, and the festivals was hit very hard. I mean, the industry is very dependent on these market festivals to be able to collaborate, to sell, to find new partners, all of it. And so that was a big shock. And after I came back from the Berlinale, the European film market in February, everybody felt as if, wow, that was it. That's all we had for the whole year, because everything else planned, Cannes, everybody was shut down. But here you go. We recently, just earlier this week, received notice that Cannes was doing a virtual market, which made it affordable not just for entertainment professionals that normally wouldn't even be able to get to Cannes, but it created an opportunity to do virtual meets for people to connect. And that's something that looks like it's going to stay. So I think if there's opportunities that we all come across different things that we can share to make life a little bit easier professionally, even emotionally for creatives and other people in our industry, it helps. Pass it on. Definitely pass it on, because people do appreciate it. And we all need that encouragement that there is hope to still be able to do things. And we're not limited. We just have to look at the new way things are opening up and adapt to that new frontier.
And I also think that that's important to think about. Not only are many of our professional associations are groups that we work with who would have done festivals or would have done professional conferences or would have done that, are offering a lot of that material, and the speakers who you probably would have had to pay to see and offering it virtually. And participate, because you can usually get it at a much cheaper rate, if not free. Many of them are doing it for free. To get that, you know, even if you're not getting that personal connection of sitting in a room with that person, I'll bet you that, you know, if you were in the room with those people, you probably would be in a room with 1,000 people. But now that you're doing it virtually, yeah, there may be 1,000 people, but you may have a more direct connection to that speaker, because you may be able to type your question in a chat room or even ask it virtually. And so, yes, you may not be able to shake hands with them at the end, but frankly, we may not be able to shake hands for a while anyway. So we have to develop some other way of greeting people. But exactly. But take advantage of those opportunities.
And Purchase also has the mentoring network that is still new, but we are here available and other alumni are. And so that's a resource too, that even if it's just to talk or just to say, hey, you know, I'm here in the industry, or I'm going to graduate, or I've been out there, and, you know, how's it going for you? I mean, we're all here for it. And the Purchase community and the board does support that network.
And we're all on there as mentors. Mm-hmm. I also want to add, if there are people out there, I mean, we've talked a lot about what we're doing for those of us who have jobs. There are a lot of people out there who've lost jobs, or at least lost streams of income. And if there are people out there who are in those situations, who either are looking for other opportunities, potentially, although during a crisis is not necessarily the time to change an industry, but if you're looking, you know, if you think you might want to change industries or do something like that, reaching out to career development, or reaching out to the alumni office and say, I'm thinking about, you know, potentially working in the healthcare field, or you know, I want to see what that kind of opportunity might be like, or what I might have to do to get there. We can help connect you with people who are already in that industry, who are, I mean, Purchase alums have always been willing to help other Purchase alums or current Purchase students. But I actually think that that's even more true now, that despite how busy people are, that they are willing to help other people and reach out and talk to you about what it takes to become, you know, if it's a healthcare professional or another field that you might be interested in changing to, because you aren't able to get the income that you need from the field that you're in. Also, it might be that you need help reaching out or networking in the field that you're in with other people, so that you can get these ideas about how to monotonize what you're doing and what you're able to do in your own field. So there are services and people available to help you do that through Purchase, even though they're not available in person. And I know the way to contact Career Services is on the Career Services website, and certainly you could email the alumni@purchase.edu and they can connect you with the office.
Thanks for mentioning that, Jeffrey. It definitely is a great tool to use, especially during this time. And something that I just wanted to touch upon that I found interesting myself during this time is that I feel like I'm getting to know other industries better just by talking to family and friends, or coming together in chats like this to hear about how the pandemic is affecting people in different industries. I feel like I'm learning more about what they do because of how they're affected negatively from this. So it's been interesting, like even Lizanne, just listening to you talk about what you're doing in production, because I don't know anything about that. So it's kind of interesting to connect with people in a different way that way, to learn more and hearing more about what healthcare workers do. And I mean, especially what they're dealing with now, it's insane, but I just feel like I'm learning a lot more about different industries. So that's something positive to come out of this situation.
And by the way, we've talked about the mentoring network. The way to find that on the website is if you go to purchase.edu/alumni and then click stay in touch. It actually doesn't say mentoring network. It says alumni directory. That's it, right, Alexandra?
No, it should be mentorship network, no?
I was just checking because I couldn't.
I know you can definitely get to it from the CDC Career Development Center website.
Oh, it's on the career website. Okay.
But you should be able to get it from Alumni too. Oh, that's weird.
I thought you could too, and I was trying to find it because I didn't want to give wrong instructions.
No, yes. Let me see. I know I should probably know this off the top of my head, but I don't. Let's see.
Oh, it's if you click Get Involved, that's where it is.
Get involved.
Get involved, and it says Alumni Mentor Network.
There it is.
So
Yep.
if you sign up, you can sign up both as a mentor or a mentee. So obviously, if you want to help mentor others, please go and sign up there. And students do have access to this and can look up people in their field. And you can share as much information as you want. You can just share your first name and what your industry is, and they have to contact you through that site. And then you can decide what to share, or you can share, everything about you if you want. It gives you total control about what's shared with potential mentees. But that's where it is. It's under Get Involved if you go to purchase.edu/alumni.
And how do student mentees access this? Would it be through the career development site?
They access it through Career Services. That's why it's on both websites. Okay. But alumni can also access it either as a mentor or a mentee.
Yeah, the platform is called Firsthand, and you just log on there and create an account once you click through from our website, and that's where you can register and become a mentor or mentee, whichever you decide. It's pretty easy. For those of you who have signed up, it's not too complicated, right?
It's not onerous, and it sends you an email when you get a message on the site. And you just go to the website and you do all the contacting through there. So they don't have your direct email or phone number. They do all the contacting through there unless you give it to them. But you can do that once they've made contact with you and you know what they want to be in contact with you about. So it protects your privacy in that way. Is there any other questions that people have that you want information about?
Also, I wanted to mention Purchase Job Score. It's still active. It's very active. And I've been checking to see how it's helping the alumni, but I've been noticing postings from people in the local area, healthcare workers needing help with families. So there's a lot of different opportunities that could present themselves, even if it's on a temporary basis, especially as artists. They might just need a little bit of income to hold them through, but at the same time, they're helping people that are in the front lines of this pandemic. So definitely check out the Purchase Job Score. And again, career development can help along the way. If you need help with posting a resume or a letter of introduction, Wendy's fantastic. They constantly are offering different virtual services to help the students. We just had the LinkedIn seminar earlier today. That's going to be recorded. So that's something that is helpful also, which is actually a tool that, believe it or not, I get a lot of industry contacts through that. People will hook up with LinkedIn and communicate with me. So it's definitely a valuable resource to really build out a professional profile and start to build those connections and start with your purchase people. All right, we're all here to help.
Well said. And two, yeah, I mean, we're, like I mentioned at the beginning, we really are trying to engage all of our alumni virtually. So please take advantage of those platforms and of all the different webinars and panels and things that we have coming up. We're trying to blast everything out over social media and via email. So definitely keep an eye out for that. There's going to be other different things that you can participate in, maybe learn something about. Earlier this week, we had, actually yesterday, like I don't even know what day it is. Sometimes it feels like a day is 5 days. But we had an alum, I think he was 09, and he was a finance major, came on and talked about different like market volatility and things like that. And he's coming on to do another one. We also have another alum who's doing a writing workshop, which is really cool. So even if you have an idea yourself, reach out to us and let us know if you want to run a, workshop where you do painting or where you do, I don't know, something fun. Whatever you have an idea for, we are happy to hear it and help you make it a reality.
And it definitely does not have to be COVID related.
It does not, exactly, yep. Anything you want to do.
and they have the technology to connect you. So if you have an idea for something to present or do, or something that's fun, they have the resources to make that happen. Any other questions or last minute words of advice from any of the participants either? You're welcome to join in.
I just want to shout out to Emily, who's on from New Zealand. Like, she's in New Zealand right now.
See, that's the advantage of these online things, is that people who would never be able to participate are now able to participate.
What time is it there, Emily? I'm curious.
She wrote, "Hi everyone, it's 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Wow.
That's not as different, although it is tomorrow there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emily and I were the same year, so that's how I know her. And it's the 23rd there.
Yes, it is tomorrow. It's on the other side of the date line. That's.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Kevin, I know you were having connection trouble. Is there anything you wanted to add? You may not be there. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Alex?
No, I think you did a great job, Jeffrey. Thank you so much. And I mean, I'm just happy that we were able to kind of get this together. And even though it was very informal and casual, and I think like we've said throughout this discussion, these are things that are important to do to keep us in touch and feeling like we're not alone and we're not isolated, and to just have that human connection. I think it's so important during this time. So thank you to those of you that were able to tune in today, and I hope that you'll stay engaged with us and maybe either come up with your own idea or come to some of our other things, or even just say hey on social media, whatever you want to do. We're happy to hear from you all the time.
And you know, we're also trying to find ways to help the college celebrate the class of 2020. Obviously, there are several of us on here who work in higher ed, and that's honestly one of the hardest pieces of what we've been trying to do, is that they don't get the celebrations that we all got when we graduated. You know, even though commencement, I'm sure when you were a student, seemed silly, putting on a cap and gown and marching up and down an aisle. But just imagine how it is to have missed that opportunity. The opportunity to have senior week, the opportunity to say goodbye to friends personally because you were sent home and, you know, there's no residence hall anymore. So those are things that they're missing. So we're trying to figure out ways to help celebrate the class of 2020 as well. So if you have ideas for that, please let us know. Because we certainly want to make sure that they are celebrated for all of their accomplishments.
Where do we post these ideas?
You certainly could email them to the alumni office at alumni@purchase.edu, or write to us on social media. So on Twitter, it's Purchase Alumni, and on Facebook, I forget what the Facebook link
We're
is.
Purchase Alumni Association on Facebook, and then we're at Purchase Alumni on Twitter and Instagram. But also we do have, let me just see exactly how to get to it. We do have a page on our website where you can submit virtual engagement ideas. So let me see where we put that here. If we have it somewhere.
Alex, is the college creating a video for the class of 2020? Like, and doing snippets from asking people for snippets?
I'm not 100% sure about that.
Okay.
At this time, honestly.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I found out. So if you guys want to submit a virtual engagement idea, if you don't want to just email us, you can also, on on our alumni page, click on Stay in Touch, and then on the drop down there, it has Suggest a Digital/Virtual Event. And then there's a form that you can fill out that gets sent to us. So you can also let us know what your ideas are, what time works best for you, things like that. So for those of you that are interested in creating something fun, that's there. Awesome.
Okay, so I wanted to thank our panelists and our participants for being a part of this, and we will continue to be in touch with you as we go along through this. We will get through this, and you are not alone. I think it's important to keep remembering that and to remind ourselves of that all the time. And also, please stay safe and stay healthy.